Hi everyone, I'm here again, Shagun Agarwal. I'm the CEO of a strategic consulting company and a public speaker. Today I'm going to share with you how I improved my command over the English language. And obviously this didn't happen in a day, and it doesn't happen for anyone in a day. It happens with regular practice over the years. I took public speaking classes for 2 years from 2015 to 2017. The format of the public speaking class was such that there were 3 prepared speakers in every class and there were 3 impromptu speakers in every class, along with a grammarian and along with a person who would catch the filler words of the speaker, such as like, you know. These are the filler words that a speaker is not supposed to say. So one day I was given the role of a grammarian, and to my shock, after I corrected the grammar of all the speakers, one person who was a Native American, he came to me and said, "You are from a country where the second language is English. It is not the first language, and yet you are able to correct the grammar of all the Americans out here, and you are doing it so well." And from that class onwards, I was mostly given the role of a grammarian. That really boosted my confidence to another level. I am not giving this example to boast about anything. I'm giving this example to tell you that with regular practice of certain things, one can get a very good command over the English language. And the importance of understanding and learning English cannot be undermined in today's world. Whether you're giving a class presentation or an interview or sitting for a student visa or a work visa, everywhere you need to have good command over your written and your spoken English. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you certain things that I adopted and practiced over the years, which has made my speaking and written English good. Learning a new language is obviously difficult. We all know it. There is so much to learn, the grammar, the punctuation, the certain rules of every language that need to be followed. So it's never been an easy process for anyone in the world who is learning a new language. But we also have to understand that learning a new language or learning a new skill or learning anything has never been easier than it is today. And that is mainly because of World Wide Web, the internet. The internet has all the resources, videos, podcasts, books. So internet is full of information, and if you have the zeal to learn, the attitude to learn and the interest, then learning anything in today's world is extremely easy. So let's get started with those methods that I used over the years to improve my English. If you would have seen any of my videos, you would know that most of my videos come from the contents that I read in different books. Those are the non-fiction books that I have consistently read over the few years. But if you want to improve your command over the English language, you really need to read. And it can be a fiction book, non-fiction book, newspaper, autobiography, biography, anything. The only thing it has to be in the English language. When we read a book, we actually get to understand different sentence construction. We tend to understand how one sentence is falling after the another, and we tend to identify a pattern. We tend to identify the story behind it. We tend to identify the dots that are connecting and making it a conversation. So that ways reading helps improve our vocabulary. The more we read, the more words we come across, the more sentences we come across, more phrases, and we understand how one sentence is coming after another. Then there is a gap, then there's another paragraph, how one paragraph is being followed by another, and how there's a join between different lines and phrases and paragraphs. And like I said, if you have a good internet connection, all you need is an app. There are so many reading apps. There's Amazon Kindle, there are different other story apps that you can just download and start reading at your leisure. Reading has to be a habit that needs to be incorporated in your everyday life. Like I said, the only thing that you need to follow is the medium. the medium has to be English. It can be a fiction book, non-fiction book, and soon you will realize how your vocabulary has improved. The number of words you come across, the number of words and their meaning you learn with time. So the first thing we saw was reading in English. The second is speaking in English. I studied from a convent school, and at school, at times there was a certain rule which was implemented, and that rule was if we speak in Hindi, we will get a black badge. And how interesting it was to make it a point that all the students start conversing in English and not in Hindi. So how it worked was, if I'm talking to a friend, she doesn't know that I have the black badge, and if I see her talking in Hindi, I will just transfer my black badge to her. So sooner we saw that everyone was talking in English and everyone's spoken English was improving. If you have a buddy or a friend around, just call or invite that friend and start talking in English. The only rule is that you don't have to use any other words from a different language. It has to be from English. Each and every word that you and your buddy speak have to be in English. A lot of times you might have seen that you start talking in English, but words are not coming up in your mind. You start looking for a new word, and that will happen when you keep on practicing talking in English. And when you're talking in English, just use generic sentences. Use commonly used words. You don't have to use any fancy words. You don't have to use any hi-fi words to be talking in fluent English. You just need to understand the meaning of a few sentences that are used in everyday life, and then keep using them with your friends, tutors, or family members. The first thing we learned was how important it is to read in English. The second one was how important it is to speak in English. And the third is how important it is to hear in English. And with the advent of podcast, there's no better time than to listen to great English at the comfort of your home. You can just use an earphones, put on any podcast app such as Podbean, and start hearing. You might feel that a few of the podcasts are using fancy words and the accent is such that you're not understanding those sentences, but there are a lot of podcasts for beginners who are using simple words and talking in plain, simple English language. So that ways you will get a command of different words. And when you're listening to a podcast, you can just pause and see what all you understood, what all you didn't. If you didn't understand a word, you can just Google, again, use of internet. So with the help of podcast, you come across a lot of words, you come across sentences, phrases, and paragraphs. And that's how you start understanding how sentence construction is happening, how one sentence is taking place after another. And through listening, it is just coming into our mind very calmly, slowly. You can even reduce the speed of the podcast. So there are a lot of technologies today, and one of them is podcast for improving your command over the English language. The fourth is looking out for new words. There are so many words in the English language, just as there are words in any other language. But can we understand the meaning or learn the meaning of all the words? No, correct? But do we use all of the words in our everyday life while speaking in English? That's also not true. So what we need the vocabulary of a few words and sentences that we use in our everyday life, such as good morning, how are you, I'm doing well, what did you do yesterday? These are simple sentences that are using simple English words. If we know the meaning of these words and if we have a grasp of these words, we will be able to use these words in different sentences. When I was in my 6th grade, I started preparing a notebook at home. I used to call it a yellow diary because it had a very cute picture of a yellow teddy at the top. Now, I used to call it as my yellow diary, but it had all the words that I used to come across in my everyday life whose meaning I did not know. And those were at times simple words also. Maybe it's simple for everyone else, but it's not simple for me because I'm not using it every day. But I would still write it in my diary. So writing creates a permanent reference when you're writing something, it registers in your mind better. So suppose you're using the word dress while you come across a word attire. That's a little more fancy word, but you would want to use it because you want to improve your English. You write that in the diary and write that the meaning of attire is dress. So it registers in your mind. That's how you improve your vocabulary. And my point was that you need to improve your vocabulary of a certain words that are used in everyday life. And from there on, you can level up and start preparing your diary of different other fancy words also. But command over the simple words is important for everyday simple English speaking. So let's recap what we just discussed. The first is, with practice, you can go way ahead in life. And with my example, you can see that if I can become a good grammar who can correct the grammar of native English speakers, then anyone can do that. With practice, anyone can get to the level where they want to be. You just need consistent practice day in and day out, and plan out your day. Have small chunks where you're just assigning to learning English, like reading 1 page a day, writing 1 page a day, listening to 1 podcast a day, watching an English movie in a day, having a buddy who is coming to your home and you're talking to her in English for 20 minutes. So these are certain things you can do in your everyday life, small chunks of time that you can take out, and within a span of 20 to 30 days, you will see your English will start improving and it will start going to another level. Whether you're reading a novel or a newspaper, whether you're watching a movie or you're listening to a podcast, the only thing to keep in mind is that the medium has to be English. You have to watch an English movie. You have to watch a podcast. You have to listen to a podcast that is in English. You have to read a novel or a book that is in English. You have to start writing the words whose meaning you want to remember in English. And with practice, you will become a perfect person who can speak perfect English without any fancy words, without any hi-fi words, but simple, plain, yet perfect and correct English. These are very, very simple tips that I discussed, but these are the tips. Trust me, everyone follows these tips, and these are the only ways that can help you improve your English. So keep making mistakes whenever you're writing or talking, but remember that making mistakes coincides with making personal progress. Remove these phrases from your dictionary. I can't learn English. I don't tend to remember words. I can understand English, but I'm not able to speak English. I don't know the meaning of most words, then how will I use it? Instead, always keep telling your mind that I am learning English on a daily basis, because these steps I have to take on an everyday basis, and keep telling yourself that you're getting better and better and better at it. Now, why is it so important to learn the English language? It's simple because 1.5 billion people globally speak English as a language. You go to any foreign country, a person might not understand the local language, but English becomes a common language spoken by most people around the world. And that is why it becomes very important to know how to speak in English, to write how to speak in English. It is the most spoken language in the world, and that is why its importance cannot be undermined at any level. I hope you liked the contents of this video, and please keep sharing your journey on the channel through the comments, so I know which tip or which suggestion is working for you and which not, so we can keep raising the bar of each other and we'll keep going ahead in life. I wish you all the best in your journey of learning the English language. Remember, it's a process. There is no destination over here. It is a process. It is a journey that has to be taken on an everyday basis. I'm sure if you take these steps, you will get to a space where you're speaking better English than native English speakers. If you find the contents of this video useful, please do hit like, share and subscribe. Please do share it with friends and family so it reaches out to more people. Thank you.